Well, good Monday morning. It is 7 o'clock, and I hope you have had a wonderful week. I haven't had a chance to talk to you in about a week's time. We did have a couple of shows live from Cabo San Lucas, which was a lot of fun. I hope you had a chance to see those. We have a groundbreaking show on tap for you today, all about women's health, but I need men and women both to be listening to today's show. You know, pretty much women from the age of 30 up. We're talking about those that go into perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and things that you think are not available to you are. In fact, some covered by insurance. So all the out-of-pocket costs that you think you have to do may not be the case. We're going to talk about your health today. You will not want to miss this. Dr. Sarah Jensen has brought in a colleague, Dr. Becky Lynn, who really changed her life, and we're going to be introduced to her today in our Ask the Doctor segment. So get ready to load up those questions, and we're going to help you after this hour live a better life. We're going to talk about news you can use, some exciting things in entertainment news coming, but let's kick things off with the most important part over the next several days. It's going to be hot, hot, hot. Let's get our What the Weather segment.
Alrighty, welcome back into this new more weather forecast video.
This
one has been looking significant for a couple of days. So
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Monica.
Finally.
Nice to be here.
And our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore, joining us. Good morning, Beckett.
Good morning. How is Mexico?
Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. Truly, you know, I tell you what we're getting ready to have over the next 4 days, I did not bring back with me. We didn't have that kind of weather. It was actually really beautiful. A lot of wind from the Pacific Ocean, so it kept us cool for sure. It was wonderful. But we missed you. First of all, how are you feeling? I know you were sick last week.
Yes, I'm feeling much better, thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that. So Beckett's in his backyard bringing us the forecast, and I know you wouldn't want to be out there too late into the afternoon. Beckett, it's going to be extremely hot. We're talking about dangerous heat, aren't we?
Yes, today through Thursday, it is going to be very hot. We're going to have another one of those hot stretches here as we get into the end of July. 92 degrees is forecasted to be our high today. A couple of storms are actually moving south, some scattered storms into the St. Louis area, and I expect that through around 10 a.m. with the worst of the storms being on the Illinois side of the river. Then as we go towards the late afternoon, most of that cloud cover will clear out and we'll likely have a great evening. But again, that heat today, 92. Now the really hot days are going to be Tuesday through Thursday, because tomorrow we're having a high of around 97 degrees, a heat index possibly getting to 110. Wednesday, there's a good chance we could get to near 100 degrees for our high. Heat index with that could go above 110. And then Thursday, 97 degrees, another very hot day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday should be in the low 90s. But this week, we're not going to have a high below 90 degrees. It's going to be very hot. You want to stay hydrated, limit those strenuous activities, wear sunscreen, check on your elderly, and check on those pets as well, because it's going to be a dangerously hot week for sure.
It absolutely is, and those are great tips for everyone, because I'm thinking that a lot of coaches are going to have to move their practices indoors. I'm thinking about early football, and I'm always thinking about all those that think of having to work outside and exercise. You know, Becca, we really can't say it enough for how they need to take care of themselves. I want you to take care of yourself as well, and it is so good to see you again.
Absolutely, yeah. Take care of yourself in this heat.
All right, Beckett, thank you so much. Again, that's aspiring meteorologist Beckett Moore. With your forecast, please heed his warnings. We'll check in again with him later on this week. All right, we've got some news you can use, and I know within the last half hour that Olive was still shut down from what I'm going to tell you about this investigation. There were at least 50 police cars that were seen overnight. 2 people killed in the shooting in Olivet. According to a release, the city of Olivet police responded to a call for the shooting around 1 o'clock in the morning in the 9400 block of Olive Boulevard, and arriving officers heard the shots fired. They thought they were being fired at, leading them to request an officer in need of aid call. The officers found 2 men that had been killed. The Olivet Police Department says there was no indication any officers fired shots. Olivet Police said that it has requested St. Louis County Police Department Bureau of Crimes Against Persons to continue to investigate. So it was Olivet and St. Louis County Police. Again, within the last half hour, Olive was still shut down in both directions just west of Dealman. 1 person was killed in a fire. This happened in St. Charles County in Wentzville, to be exact. 1 person dead following this fire. According to officials, the fire was on Lucille Street in the Wentzville Mobile Manor community just off of Highway Z and Interstate 70. The fire department says someone walking by just before 1 o'clock noticed the flames. They called 911. Firefighters had to battle the intense heat to get through the front door. Once inside, they found 1 person dead who they believe to be the only resident. Again, we will continue to bring you any new information on either one of those stories. And I just want to remember our firefighters, our police officers, and all of those that, again, wearing heavy gear in this extreme heat that we're going to be seeing over the next several days. Continuing on in the news you can use, we get into some food news story. Are you a wing fan? Chicken wing fans? National Chicken Wing Day. Established in 1977, it's a national holiday celebrated annually, a way to encourage Americans to enjoy their favorite wings, however you like them. And feel free to drop in the comments. Do you like the wing aspect? Do you like the drummy? That's my favorite. If I'm going to do wings, I want the drummies, and I want them super, super hot. Do you do ranch or do you do blue cheese? Do you like barbecue? Do you like them hot? To best enjoy the holiday, you can get discounts and freebies. There are several restaurants that you can look into that are going to give you special deals today. And this is awesome news for a good friend of ours, Gerard Kraft, you know, from the Niche Food Group. They're opening up Pirano today after closing downtown back in 2018. This time opening in Des Peres. This is the first restaurant in the Niche Food Group that will be opening in the West County area. Again, you can go there starting today. Pirano Pasta. Do you remember when it was down in that Washington Avenue area? Fast casual concept serving up customizable pasta, grain bowls, salads, and Detroit-style pizza. So pretty excited about that. And then I don't know if you've been seeing around the internet, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, just absolutely hilarious, back and forth, talking about Wolverine, Deadpool, Wolverine, just teasing each other. Well, they were at the box office, and they smashed an R-rated record with $205 million debut. That's the 8th biggest opening ever. So Marvel is back out on top. Congratulations to those 2 men. I actually can't wait to see that one. And a dear friend of the Real Monica Adams show, Ruby Lee, will be in Nashville for her debut at the Grand Ole Opry on Friday. Now, this is the really cool news. She is going to be singing 2 songs, a cover song and a song she co-wrote entitled Love's Like a Rose, and that is from her album that is releasing today. Super excited, and I'm doing everything I possibly can to try to get to Nashville on Friday to see that. She's got a ticket for me. I'm just trying to pull some strings to try to get some things working out. But if I can't, I know a lot of you are traveling to Nashville to see her. Ruby, we love you, and I'm super, super excited for you. I also want to congratulate a dear friend of mine, Sherry Anderson, officially opening Sheer Studios today. That's in Chesterfield, right there at 1705 Baxter Road. And you can book your appointments at that phone number starting today. I cannot wait to get my hair fixed. It was a little bit of a 2-week delay because she needed to do a few things before she could get the doors open. But yes, officially open, and we're talking about luxury to the nth degree. It is just absolutely stunning. If you haven't followed her, do so. Sheer Studios. Sherry Anderson, I'm so excited for you. Now, as far as sports news, the Cardinals are back in action. action for their homestand that continues. They're playing the Rangers tonight at 6:45. They're coming off a 4-3 win over the Nationals, and it's going to be exciting in the broadcast booth. Joe Buck and Chip Carey, a little nostalgia in the booth. That's when they were supposed to do that against the Chicago Cubs, but that game was canceled because of rain. So they're finally going to be in the broadcast booth together. All right, it is 7:10. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I promise to give you a wrap on our Cabo San Lucas trip. More importantly, something that happened at the front of a catamaran between me and these little girls from California. One of my favorite things, and a really hilarious video that we hope we can make go viral about a little boy that missed his mom and the fun she was having in Cabo San Lucas.
I'm excited to announce my all-new mattress topper. In the times we're in, I wanted to bring you the best affordable mattress topper ever. So I took my two best technologies and combined them to make the ultimate mattress topper. And now you can get it for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. It all starts with my famous MyPillow foam that provides you that overall full body support. Second is the individual comfort supports that give you an amazing custom sleep experience. It's like it's made specifically for you. The queen size alone has over 14,000 comfort supports. This is the perfect mattress topper to improve any bed. New bed, old bed, your guest beds. Get them for every bedroom in your house. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the all-new My Mattress Topper for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. Don't delay, order today.
And it was nice to sleep really well last night on my pillow. I got the 2.0 series, by the way. If you haven't looked into that yet, please do so. Don't wait any longer. I want to make sure you get those incredible values. All right, Cabo San Lucas, wonderful, absolutely wonderful time and getting away. I have to thank my husband for forcing me to get that recharge, to renew my spirit, to rest and relax. And all of you will be very thrilled because I brought this along with me, and I made a huge dent in my book, finally writing the book. And I don't have a timeline as far as when I want to have that out, but at least I have 4 chapters along with the prologue that I already wrote and the title of the book, which I'm not going to release to you just yet, but you'll be happy to know that. We had a wonderful time, girlfriend getaway. Michelle's son was there as well, spending some time with friends of his. But the most exciting part for me were the little girls that decided to join me as I was dancing on the front of the boat. We're doing the wobble, if you know the song, Wobble Baby, Wobble Baby, Wobble Baby, Wobble, you can see that's what we're doing. Those 2 little girls were watching me. That's Liliana and Bennett. Yes, Bennett. So she's in the front in the orange dress, Liliana in the cute little jumpsuit in the back. From California, DJ is Liliana's father right there behind her, and I believe Joy is the mom. So they were just perfect. And then at this point, she switches and says she wants to teach me how to do a little Shake It Off to Taylor Swift. So in the beginning, they were acting really shy, and you could see that they were looking like, I think I want to join you. And I just kept saying, come on, let's do it. So I want to thank, again, the families from California. I don't know Bennett's mom's name, but mom or dad, but I just want to thank them for allowing us to videotape them, have a little fun with them, and just truly light up the boat. So we were on the Rissalina catamaran and having a beautiful time, obviously watching the sunset, getting a chance to go around and look at the arch and the beautiful connection of where the Sea of Cortez and the Pacific Ocean come together. And the weather was perfect for us, that it allowed us to go deeper into the Pacific Ocean all the way around and getting a chance to see my resort, which was nice to see, and getting a chance to go there actually in about a month and a half, but seeing how much beach we have, because depending on how the weather is, sometimes it washes some of that away. So thank you, girls, by the way. I had an absolutely wonderful time with you. And then this is JR missing his mom while she's sitting there having a great time in the pool. He was doing a little candlelight vigil, singing to You Light Up My Life. She's having fun. That, by the way, is Carrie. Carrie enjoying her drinks with all of us. We thought we'd have a little fun with this. And later this morning, keep an eye to my socials as we do the split. Obviously, from copyright reasons, we can't play the music for you. But this is her, that's her father, sorry, excuse me, her husband and her son, JR and Steve Viggy, having a little fun. They sent her that video saying, "We miss you." He's lighting a candle and he keeps asking when you're coming back. And then there she is having some fun, having some drinks in the pool. Good times had by everyone. And it's nice, though, to be back and bringing you the show all over again. So thank you, by the way, for those of you that had a chance to watch the show when we were in Cabo on Monday and Friday. And I know a lot of you were looking forward to us coming back and looking forward to today's show. Debbie, this is a new one for me. Debbie, is it Bossiker? I just returned from recharging in Rosemary Beach. Debbie, are you new to the show? Thank you, by the way, for tuning in. Yeah, we had a wonderful time. And for all of you saying good morning to all of you. Oh my gosh, my Aunt Janet is on from Birmingham, Alabama. Hi, Aunt Janet. If you get a chance, drop a comment. I miss you so dearly and absolutely love you. Nice to see that name this morning. Well, we're having a good time. We've got a huge show on tap for you. Let's go ahead and get to it. So Dr. Sarah Jensen and Dr. Becky Lynn over the next 45 minutes joining us on the Real Monica Adams Show to talk about women's health. Guys, we need you to listen to this. You're going to be able to help those ladies sleep better, not have the night sweats, not have the weight gain, the thinning hair, the gaining of weight, just the irritability. So many things that you can do to better yourself. You do not have to live with the miserable way that you're living right now. Perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, women's health. That's on tap as Dr. Jensen and Dr. Lynn join us in the blue chairs when we return. Everyone knows about Jody's balls, and why is that?
I have the best ball.
Oh, wait. It is 7:17, and I just came back from looking at a beautiful pool ever since I was in Cabo San Lucas, and they had a beautiful infinity pool that overlooked the golf course. A lot of people say, you know what, I need to pull the trigger. You're right, you do. You can have that in your backyard, an in-ground or above-ground pool. Or remember, if you have one already, be sure to take care of the chemicals so that yours looks as beautiful as that. The water features, the rock features, the fire features. You want to have a diving board, you want to slide. You dream it up and they will build it for you. Don't forget, you can have the entire backyard oasis. Make sure you have the umbrella to take care of your guests when it is just absolutely hot outside. You want to have maybe a new fire pit. You name it, they can do it. Just Pools, pool and spa specialist on the West Outer Road in Arnold. And you can get those toys and all the chemicals at a discount as well. Don't forget to tell them when you call 636-464-7110 that you heard about them on The Real Monica Adams Show. One more break and we'll be right back. Need women to lift women up. Let's do that.
Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with her viewers and her listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
How are you doing? See you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey! You were close!
Monica. Whoa.
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind. That's right, let's go. Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. I'm your host, Monica Adams. Thrilled to have you along with us. Do me a favor, anybody that you know that's not on Facebook, tell them we're on YouTube right now. Have them subscribe so they get a notification when we're going on live. A lot of people may not want to be on social media, and that's why we make sure we have multiple platforms. Share it with them right now if they can watch live and interact. I'm looking at your questions and comments over the next 45 minutes. Ask questions galore. Please don't sit there in silence. We want to make sure that you're taken care of. First of all, let me introduce my guest, reintroduce Dr. Sarah Jensen from Regional Dermatology, and Dr. Becky Lynn is in with us from Evora. We're going to talk about women's health today. Great to see you again.
You too.
And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
She is so sweet, by the way. I was telling Zach, our director, that she sent me a text when I got to Cabo saying if my mom needed anything that she would take. You just are amazing.
Yeah,
okay, let me just
thank
say
you.
that. You're just an incredible woman.
Feelings mutual.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about regional dermatology. If you haven't had a chance to book your appointment yet, please do so. They have 2 locations. You can go to the Chesterfield location, or you can go to the location in Festus. You're looking at the buildings for Dr. Jensen's practice. Again, make the call. There's a lot of you that have done so already. I have clients of mine that said, she can get me in that quick. Yes, because that practice in Chesterfield's only been there, how many months? Few months?
Yeah, just a few months, maybe February we started.
And everybody has been just raving about you, by the way.
Thank you.
So I'm thrilled for those of you that have. We can put the numbers on the screen on both the West County side of Chesterfield or the Jefferson County side of Festus. Pick the one that's right for you, and there's the office hours, by the way. So, Dr. Jensen, you met Dr. Lynn how many years ago?
My goodness. Was it maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, I think?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And she was in academia at that time, so yeah.
And Dr. Jensen's been singing her praises, saying that she truly changed your life. In what way?
She did. I didn't know that I was going through perimenopause or menopause. I just knew that I was having changes. Sort of my weight was redistributing, and it was kind of, I had this kind of almost like a beer belly that I wasn't, had never experienced. I was running, I was eating healthy, I was doing all the things that I'd normally done, and things were just shifting or changing. I was having like hot flashes. I was almost experiencing also anxiety that I had never had before. So it was all new to me. My sleep was off. I was waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And, honestly, I was having a little bit of painful sex, and that was something that I hadn't experienced, and I really didn't know how to talk to my doctor about it. So I sought out Becky Lynn. I saw her, I think probably on the website, and that she addressed these issues. And she was fantastic. She gave me so many options that I hadn't had from my primary doctor.
And that is exactly what today's show is going to be all about. How many of you are shaking your head right now at home saying, yep, I went through that, or I'm going through that right now, but you don't have to stay in this space. So I'm going to say you're like my twin, because all of that happened. My sister-in-law, Dr. Lynn, had told me probably 10 years ago, at some point, Monica, you're going to have painful sex. You're going to be dry. And I'm like, no, I'm all good. And she would check in with me about every year. Is that happening yet? I'm like, nope. And then boom, out of nowhere. And the great thing about my husband, and I hope many of the men in your life, he was like, oh my God, I feel bad. I don't want you to go through this, right? You don't want the woman in your life to be in pain. You want it to be the best. But I think at some point, guys are thinking, well, is this just how it's going to be? And it doesn't have to be. How many women have come to you saying, you can help me with this?
Right. So this is what I do. I'm an OBGYN. I run Evora Women's Health, and I specialize in perimenopause and menopause. I have extra training. I'm North American Menopause Society certified. But Dr. Jensen was my classic patient. So many women come in with a long list of symptoms. They're not aware of what's going on. They have hot flashes, night sweats, low libido, painful sex, weight gain, sleep problems, joint aches, brain fog, and they end up going to their practitioner who says, oh, you're just getting old. Don't worry about it. Nope, you're fine. You're just getting old. And that just kills me, because no, there are plenty of things that you can safely do to treat those symptoms that provide a whole host of benefits. There's no reason sex should be painful. There's no reason you shouldn't get a good night's sleep. And we have options for treatment that are safe and effective.
You're right. So all of you that are going through night sweats and these hot flashes, and you're just miserable. I mean, it's embarrassing for women, right?
Very
you're out,
embarrassing.
you get all gorgeous and dressed up, and then you're drenched in sweat, and you feel like you have to take 10 showers.
Right.
Been there, done that. But I think there are a lot of women who feel like, well, I don't know what I can do. Let's address this straight out of the gate. They have heard about hormone replacement therapy or hormone therapy. Let's differentiate between the two of them, as well as those that, and I remember being a news director in radio and then going into news and television, doing all these stories saying it was linked to cancer and how dangerous it was and how it immediately scared women. And that's where they stopped to say, I don't think there's anything I can do then.
Right. So that information came from a study called the Women's Health Initiative that came out in the early 2000s Before that, in the 1990s, so many women were on a preparation called PremPro. That was sort of the standard. The Women's Health Initiative looked at women on PremPro to see if it could lower their risk of cardiovascular disease. And they ended up stopping that study early because they found that women on PremPro had an increased risk for blood clot, heart attack, stroke, and breast cancer. So everyone stopped their hormones. It got all sorts of media attention. But what didn't get attention is that when you broke the data down by age range, when you looked at women aged 50 to 59, the risks were incredibly different. There was a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, no increased risk for stroke, and a decreased risk of dying from, from anything. The risk of breast cancer persisted despite the age. But now we know, fast forward 20 years later, that increased risk for breast cancer was likely due to the Provera, which is the progestin in PremPro, and we don't really use that anymore. We tend to use progesterone, or Prometrium is the brand name. That has no increased risk for breast cancer. So, we have 20 years of data going forward. We don't generally use PremPro anymore, and we know that there's a window of opportunity for women between the ages of 50 to 59 or within 10 years of their last menstrual period where the benefits are huge and the risks are small. I mean, the benefits extend beyond what we just talked about as far as cardiovascular disease. Estrogen protects you from losing bone density. It helps prevent osteoporosis. It's good for your joints, your muscles, your skin, your hair, your nails, your vagina, your bladder. It just has a huge amount of benefits and a small amount of risk for women in that window of opportunity, that age range.
If you're just tuning in, let me reintroduce my guest. You're seeing her for the first time on our show. Again, Dr. Becky Lynn, and I'm going to make sure that Ashlyn, who's moderating this morning, drops in her website, evorawomen.com. Personalized direct care for your women's health needs. There it is on your screen. There's a phone number, by the way, that you can call, 314-934-0551. Dr. Jensen, when it comes to these issues that women are going through, my sister-in-law mentioned a while back the importance of finding a gynecological dermatologist. And so she was telling my mother this, and I was like, wait, what? Why? What would they be looking at? So when you're dealing with these type of things, what are you helping with that kind of you do on your own, but then you do a collaboration between the two of you and other doctors that you kind of refer them to?
Well, I bring it up with patients because I find a lot of women don't bring any of their symptoms up. And of course, most doctors, most dermatologists should be looking at the vulvar area, checking out for skin cancers or any kind of changes, lichen sclerosis, other ththings that happen. And so I bring it up because it's close to my heart because I had to deal with it. And I feel like I wish I would have had this information in my 45, 48-year-old, self. So I have a whole list of information that I give. I give different podcasts, different doctors who have written books on this, and then local doctors, including Dr. Lynn, who will address it. Because, when I saw my primary doctor and even my OB at academic centers, the suggestion was, well, let's just give you Wellbutrin, an antidepressant. And I thought, well, I didn't say anything about being depressed. I mean, and it really didn't address the issues that I had, going on. So,
and you're seeing, by the way, physicians that Dr. Jensen has seen or patients that she has recommended, and there's Dr. Lynn right there, third on the list. So you mentioned something that I don't think a lot of people think about, and I just came back from Cabo, as you know. We're wearing our swimsuits, and you're laying out directly in the sun. You're putting sunscreen on, you hope, on your face and on your skin, etc. But I don't think anyone ever thinks about getting skin cancer down there.
Right. And you can get melanoma, you can get basal cell carcinoma. I've seen them both. And so a lot of patients are a little bit, hesitant maybe to get fully undressed in the exam room. I encourage it if they will. We get a lot of referrals from OB-GYN, and urology as well. But I definitely give them this information so that they have, opportunities. And I try to talk to them early. Once they hit 40, they're getting that information from my office. And those patients kind of walk away. They've tell me this was one of the better visits that I've had because you've addressed it, especially patients who have had to deal with breast cancer. Because I think most of the doctors are just looking to make sure we treat that breast cancer, we cure the cancer, but what about the whole woman and the rest of her life? Because I'll tell you, when I had the discomfort with sex, I thought, boy, I'm only 50.
Yes.
Is this the second half of my life? It's just going to be kind of tossed away. And I talked to my doctor at the time and I said, I kind of feel like an old shoe that, when trying to like stretch out an old shoe. It's not really something I look forward to. And so, but a lot of these doctors are younger too. They might not have experienced it themselves. Yep. Dr. Lynn, she's been through a lot and she knows, how to address it with these patients.
And can I just say that I love that we're talking about these things? All the people who think these are taboo. No, why? Mm-hmm. You have to bring this discussion to the table, because once you do, it's like a release of, oh my gosh, I'm so glad someone is talking about this. I'm dealing with this too. I'm dealing with this too, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can say, well, what are you doing? How did it get better? So I don't have to live like this? The answer is no, no, no. Let's bring Dr. Lynn back into the talk here. So bioidentical hormones to hormone therapy to hormone replacement therapy. Can you differentiate that?
Sure. So bioidentical just means that the hormone is the same chemical structure as your own ovaries make. So that's estradiol and progesterone. That's all bioidentical means. There are compounded bioidenticals and there are FDA-approved bioidenticals. And when you have a choice, you should always choose the FDA-approved bioidentical hormones, that's estradiol and progesterone, because those drugs, those medicines, which are just replacing your hormones, have been tested and proven to be safe and effective. So if there's an FDA-approved product, I tend to choose that. And that's what our national organizations recommend, the North American Menopause Society, the American College of OBGYN, because they've been studied and shown to be safe and effective. When it comes to hormone replacement therapy, HRT, or hormone therapy, we used to say HRT. That's sort of the old term. Now we say hormone therapy. It's just a change in semantics. Okay. But it means pretty much the same thing. It's giving a woman back her estradiol and progesterone and sometimes testosterone.
Well, let's talk about that, because there are many women who don't realize that the testosterone aspect, and I had my labs done and found out, there you go, there's the up and down scale. I found out mine was almost non-existent, and it all made sense. In fact, almost all my levels were extremely low, and the woman who did the labs for me said, I don't even know how you are operating. However, I look back now, so once you get it under control, you look at how every aspect of your life just seems happier. I mean, you're glowing again, right? Because you're sleeping better. You feel like you have energy. You can do your life the way you want your life to be. You're happier in your relationships. But I look back at my pictures and I'm like, look at the difference. I can see inflammation. I can see, I can't believe my weight changed. But those are all the things, like you mentioned, like all the women that are watching, do you feel like you have that beer belly and you're like, I don't even drink beer? Where's this coming from?
Right. And skin changes. Like my skin got so dry and I'm a dermatologist. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? My skin was dry. It was itchy, and now I don't know that there's many studies about it, but there's a trend now with dermatology to use estrogen cream actually on your face, your neck, your arms. And there were studies that show that even like with wound healing, you get like a sore or wound, we were using estrogen cream to help like speed the process of that. And I use it myself, so it's been really helpful.
It's 7:30. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, any questions that you have, I just saw one come in from Julie Purcell. I will look back. Drop your comments in, your questions. Tell us what you have done, what you have tried. If you have questions about pellets, which I want to get into, you want to talk about some compound creams, you want to talk about what is covered and what is out of pocket, we got so much to talk about. We're going to do all that with Dr. Lynn and Dr. Jensen when we return. He wants to say, I can't believe I took your son's life. I don't know what I was thinking. I have so much regret and remorse. I've changed my life. Would you accept that apology?
I've never thought of that. Yeah. I would.
Do you think, because you talk about forgiveness, do you think that you all can ever forgive one another and come back together?
It wasn't just right. I'm not perfect. Just because my name is Bush, I don't have it all figured out. And I think they know that too.
I was cyclically depressed, so I could be the happiest person you ever met at 11 a.m. I could be on cloud 9. And by 7 p.m. that evening, I'd be sitting on a couch with a gun in my hand and thinking hard not to get emotional. I
never feel sorry for being emotional.
I really, I was at a space to where I couldn't believe that I had brought my children into this.
where's the light? Because many of you probably feel that there's this darkness and there's this thunder cloud that's constantly over you. This family has dealt with so much.
Our journey is our journey. There has to be purpose in this pain. There has to be something more powerful. I have to find something to be blessed about every day. I have to count my blessings and have gratitude every single day.
Welcome back. It is 7:34 and it is Monday. So this is the day that we concentrate on your health. Medical Mondays. Ask the Doctor that we started over a year ago. I know it's one of your favorite shows, and a lot of times you hold back on some of your questions. Don't hold back today. There's some coming in already, but I want you to ask. Do not be embarrassed. I can't say that enough, because trust me, what you're thinking, what you're feeling is what someone else at home is saying. I'm so glad somebody asked that. If you're not watching live and you watch this later, just do me a favor, ask the question, and I'll make sure that Dr. Lynn and Dr. Jensen get your question and they can try to find the answers for you. Dr. Sarah Jensen, you've seen her now over the last month. She is part of our team here on our Medical Mondays with Regional Dermatology, and then she met a handful of years ago Dr. Becky Lynn with Evora Women's Health, and we were dropping the websites for you so that you have all that information. You know, I went to the break and I had a bunch of questions that we're going to get into, but I want to make sure that you're heard. So we have, well, first of all, people are saying thank you for talking about this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Somebody said my weight has gone up, 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 and they have a little tear, right? Frustrated. You feel that. That's where the depression comes into play. Julie says, I'm 61 and I've had a full hysterectomy. I've been told every time that my labs are okay and no menopause. So she said, did I have it and not know it, or do you not have it once you have a hysterectomy?
So hysterectomy just means removal of the uterus, and so that doesn't affect your hormones. But if she had a full hysterectomy, she probably had her ovaries removed also, which would throw you into menopause. And even if she didn't have her ovaries removed, by age 61, 99% of women are through the menopause. So most likely she's through the menopause. But I want to address this whole lab thing also. You know, everyone says, well, I feel bad. Can you check my labs? So if you're a perimenopausal woman, your labs are going to come back normal because they fluctuate throughout the day and throughout the month. And you can still feel awful. You can have hot flashes, night sweats, weight gain, all sorts of things. And your practitioner might say to you, well, your labs are normal. But it doesn't matter what your labs say. You can still be treated. You can still use hormone therapy in that perimenopause. In the postmenopause, your hormones are going to be low. That's what menopause is. So they're going to come back as normal. They'll be in the normal range, and you'll say, well, what are my labs? They're normal, but it doesn't mean that you can't be treated. So if you feel bad, if you've had the whole, you know, constellation of symptoms, you can take hormone therapy. Of course, there are some contraindications. Not everyone can take hormone therapy, but it's worth a discussion with your practitioner which of your symptoms would benefit from hormone therapy.
What is the earliest that you have seen someone go into menopause?
Well, it can be very young. Sometimes it's a surgical menopause. Sometimes, unfortunately, women in their 20s have to have their ovaries removed if they have cancer, something like that. And so, you know, I can't think of the exact age, but, you know, probably early 20s.
Wow.
And sometimes women can have what we say is premature ovarian failure, or POF, where their ovaries just stop working very young in their 20s. And those women definitely 100% need to be on hormone therapy to keep their bones strong, their heart healthy, their skin, hair, nails, vagina, bladder, the whole long list.
Yep, head to toe, folks.
Head to toe.
Head to toe,
yes.
ladies. Luann just said, my skin is extremely dry, as you were mentioning, Dr. Jensen, and I am beginning to wonder. Thank you for talking about this. Right, because these symptoms are happening, and that's why we're bringing it up today, that you go, oh, is that why? Is this why it's happening? And there's some pictures for you. And we also have an image that Dr. Jensen gave us that shows all the things that are happening when you go into menopause. Unexpected ways that menopause affects the body. Brain fog, Dr. Lynn had mentioned. Insomnia, dry mouth, that one I hadn't heard of. Body odor, dry skin and nails, vaginal pain, which we've mentioned, smaller breasts, thinning hair, dizziness, all these things that if you go to your general practitioner, they, you know, you mentioned it earlier, both of you ladies, oh, you're fine.
Aging.
And you're
Aging.
dismissed.
Normal aging, right.
And I don't know, you know, while we were sitting at the swim up bar in Cabo, all the ladies that were there were like, I can't wait for you to do this show because we are all dealing with these things, or we're just beginning to deal with it. And they all collectively said how frustrated they were that they keep hearing It's just what you're going to have to deal with.
Well, yeah, and a lot of these doctors went to school when I did, and when Dr. Lynn did, and so I thought along, my course of training, oh, estrogen's bad. You don't go on hormone replacement. You have to, and so all along I thought it was a negative, medicine to take, and so. I wish I would have known sooner. A lot of women also are on IUDs and they don't know if they have gone through menopause. Mm-hmm. So it makes a difference. And honestly, a lot of doctors don't have the time in insurance-based healthcare. It's hard to address all these issues. Dr. Lynn has transitioned to direct pay, where she has all the time to speak with you and address all these issues. So it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is when, I think people, Dr. Lynn, have heard in the past, oh, concierge medicine, oh, I've got to pay. And leading up to this point, maybe they didn't need it before, but at every given point of our lives, it shifts. And then all of a sudden you say, well, now I got all these things going on. So then it makes sense. Kathleen just said, my weight has gone up and don't remember a night that I have slept through the night. Again, this is the same thing we're hearing, but why are you continuing to deal with it, ladies? And men that are watching, you're able to take care of your ladies and you're going to be able to say, hey, this is all the stuff you're going through. Does this sound familiar to you? This is what we can have done. Let's address the compound pharmacies that are doing the creams or the pellets. What's your viewpoints on all of that?
Yeah. So when there's an FDA-approved product, you should always choose the FDA-approved product. So compounded is not better. It's not natural. It's not any safer, and either are pellets. Pellets have not been studied. They're not FDA approved, so they're not recommended by the North American Menopause Society. They're not recommended by any of the big societies that actually look at the data, the research that goes into, are hormones safe and are they effective? So I never recommend pellets. They're not better, they're not safer, they're actually not studied. So when there's an option, I will choose the FDA-approved product. Sometimes you need a compounded cream. So if someone, let's say, is allergic to peanuts and can't use Prometrium because it's in peanut oil, sometimes we'll use a compounded progesterone capsule. You should never use a progesterone topically because it's not absorbed. And the progesterone is there to protect the lining of the uterus from developing uterine cancer. So you can't give someone estrogen alone without a progesterone if you have a uterus. So there are roles for compounding pharmacies. I use a compounded testosterone because there is not an FDA-approved product for women, which is unfortunate because women actually make more testosterone than we do estrogen. It's just we don't have a product. So in that respect, I use a compounded cream, but I don't recommend just going right to compounded, and I definitely do not recommend pellets.
And this is the reason why you have to go to a trusted physician so that someone has your care of their utmost concern. So let me give you background. I love to be real. So my OBGYN years ago, when we did my labs, he was like, I don't think you're anywhere near menopause. And I said, trust me, I can feel these things are happening. Okay, let's go ahead and do oh, you are. And I'm like, I told you, I knew it. But then we had to discuss it. So I had a massive blood clot when I was 19 years old. Okay, so anyone who has, let's go ahead and go here, anyone who has a blood clot history or you have cancer, etc., then you sit there and say, well, Dr. Lynn, what can I do? And when I say massive, it was the largest blood clot in medical history.
Right.
So
for you,
we have an
I
issue.
probably would not do hormone
So what
therapy.
would you do?
Yeah, so when that happens, and sometimes that happens, we address each symptom one by one. So if someone's having terrible hot flashes and night sweats, there's actually an FDA-approved product called Veoza that is non-hormonal, and I think this is a great option for women who are having terrible hot flashes and night sweats who can't use hormones. There's good clinical trial data to show that it works and that it works quickly, and that it's very safe. So if that's how we would address the hot flashes and night sweats. If there were symptoms of anxiety, depression, things like that, then we would address that, with everything, not just antidepressants, but maybe therapy, maybe acupuncture, other options. So if you can't use hormones, we just sort of address each symptom one by one.
So he did, and so did another woman that has been in my life over the last year. They went ahead and did the compound cream. The testosterone, I guess estrogen, progesterone, DHEA is in this particular one. I want your viewpoint on this because I was so... You have to imagine anybody in my life apprehensive of any of this because of what happened when I was younger. And my OBGYN said, I feel comfortable, but we have to give it at a very, very, very low level. And I'm like, okay, what's your viewpoint on that? Oh,
So,
here we go.
yeah,
Let's get real.
I would not use a compounded cream for you ever. So the question of blood clot, right? So what we know is that oral estrogen increases the risk for blood clot because it goes through your liver and it makes your liver make clotting factors. We have good data, like published studies, to show that transdermal estrogen in the form of a patch, an FDA-approved product, has a very low risk for blood clot or no risk for blood clot at all, depending on what study you look at. And many of those studies are observational, which isn't a super high-quality study. There isn't a double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trial, which is the best. So for you, and I don't know your whole health history, but knowing that you had a big clot, I would be super hesitant. And if I did choose estrogen, I would choose a transdermal patch because that's the one that's been studied the most. And I would for sure choose the lowest dose. And as far as DHEA, there's really not a role for DHEA in hormone replacement systemically. We do use DHEA in the vagina for vaginal dryness. There's a product called Interosa that works really well in the vagina for vaginal dryness. And in the vagina, it gets converted to estrogen and testosterone. And the vaginal tissue actually needs testosterone as well, not just estrogen.
Again, these are, I told you there'd be some groundbreaking things that maybe you haven't heard of. What we want to know also is out of pocket, out of pocket, out of pocket, or are there things that are covered by insurance? Because there's so many women that are like, well, I want to take care of myself, but financially I don't have the means, right? You've probably heard that before.
And there are definitely things that are covered as well. I've used Interosa. There's often like some kind of rebates to make it more affordable. And one thing we didn't address is one thing I never learned in medical school was genitourinary syndrome of menopause wasn't even addressed. In fact, in school we learned about male menopause, but we never learned about female menopause, which I always thought was kind of strange later in life. But most women beyond the age of 45 should be using vaginal estrogen, even with a history of breast cancer. Am I right?
Yes.
Because that tissue really needs that support, and if you neglect it, this is where women in their 70s, 80s, and 90s may end up with like recurrent urinary tract infections,
That's what I
which
just
can
wanted to
lead
bring
to
up, yes.
sepsis, which can lead to hospitalization and even death, and things that you don't really hear those terms. And so I've brought that up with my patients. That's the one area I feel like is in my lane of dermatology. I'll start someone on, it's depending on their history, but on the vaginal estrogen, and I'll say you need to get someone who's really, that's their full lane of work and expertise. So I sort of bridge them over to someone like Dr. Lynn.
Well, and that's the reason why collaborations need to happen in medicine, and you find trusted sources, obviously. Let's go back to the financial aspect of that.
Sure. Yeah, so if I prescribe estrogen and progesterone, I just send it over to a patient's regular pharmacy. More times than not, it's just covered by insurance. So just a regular estrogen patch, or, there's also a ring called the Fem ring that goes in the vagina. All of the intravaginal hormones that are FDA approved are generally covered by insurance. Like Dr. Jensen said, sometimes there's coupons that can kind of bring the cost down. There's a product called Imvexi, which if your insurance doesn't cover it, the monthly cost is $45 a month. So they're not like, there are ways to get your hormones that are either covered by insurance or decently priced.
Well, and Dr. Jensen, I love one of the things that I was researching that you gave me is to continue to fight and advocate for yourself and to go to Congress, go to your political leaders to say, hey, Viagra is covered for men. There's all these things covered for men, but what about us ladies that are out here drowning?
Right, and I can attest, I've tried almost everything she's mentioned through Dr. Lynn, and so, and I can give feedback if anybody has questions on them. And I currently use the Fem ring, I use the Interosa, I use the progesterone at night, which helps so much with sleep. I can't tell you. I can't stress that enough.
Again, these are things that I know a lot of you have been saying that you have dealt with, and you've wondered, is this something that I, again, have to live with? Is there something that I can change on this? So Sherry says, my doctor told me I'm too old for hormone therapy.
Okay,
You've heard that?
Yeah,
Okay, let's go.
So that's a really, really good question. So, I mentioned the big study that showed that there's a good time to start hormones, the safest time to start hormones in your 50s. The reason that we don't generally, and I wouldn't say she can't use them, start them later in life is because once somebody has atherosclerotic plaques in the blood vessels, estrogen can disrupt an atherosclerotic plaque. It breaks off, it clogs the vessel. That's a heart attack if it goes to the heart, and a stroke if it goes to the brain. So that's the concern, that the older you are, the more likely you are to have atherosclerotic plaques in the blood vessels. But there are tests that you can do to determine if you have atherosclerosis. So, and you look at the person as a whole, right? Like, are they healthy? Are they a healthy weight? What are their risk factors for heart attack and stroke, regardless of hormone therapy? And so I might get a coronary artery calcium scan to see if they have atherosclerosis. And then sometimes we do start hormone therapy for someone in their 60s. But the older you are, the higher your underlying risk for heart attack, stroke, and atherosclerosis. So it's really a discussion that you want to have with your practitioner. What are the risks? What are the benefits? And do the benefits outweigh the risks?
Right. And I think that's the thing. If there's nothing that you take from today's show, this one right here is what I want you to take. And that is that if you go to your physician and you find out that you are in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and you start to look at options, that you do something, right? But you've got to find a trusted source. So if you've been in the same boat that Sherry or others who say, well, you're too old, and that you're just dismissed, don't settle for that. There's a reason why you can say, nope, I'm going to talk with another doctor. As we showed you earlier, Dr. Jensen has a list of people that she collaborates with and sends people to. You can go to her, and then she can say, we're going to work hand in hand with this. There's that physician list for you again. But it's to not just sit here and get depressed, get frustrated, feel like there's nothing that you can do about it when there is. I know, again, Dr. Lynn, yeah, it's exactly how we all feel right there. Those are some phenomenal pictures for you. Right. I understand that. You know, I think right away when we do our 100 Days to Freedom, I think the depression one is just screaming that it wants to be read today. So we'll do that at the end of the show. I do want you to ask your question. So I'm looking through here. Kathy says, do we truly need the vaginal estrogen?
Yeah, so vaginal estrogen does a world of good, just like Dr. Jensen mentioned. And I do want to point out it lowers your risk of bladder infections, like you said. And that's huge because some women will get recurrent bladder infections over and over again, and then they end up getting antibiotics. And then their bacteria becomes resistant to those antibiotics, and there's not one that's sensitive, or they develop sepsis and end up in the hospital. Like, preventing UTIs is really important. It can be very easily done with low-dose vaginal estrogen. Oh, and the other thing is that antibiotics over and over again affect your gut flora and cause other problems. So, you know, I wouldn't say every single person has to be on them, but they do provide a world of good, not just with UTIs, but what they do for the vagina is they change the vaginal tissue. So premenopausally, the vaginal tissue is thick, it's moist, it stretches, it has collagen and elastin, it has cells that make moisture. And when you lose that estrogen, the tissue becomes thin and dry. It doesn't make moisture like it used to. It doesn't stretch, and that's part of the reason that sex becomes painful. So there are a lot of changes to the vagina post-menopause.
I want to say this again. So UTIs, bladder infections, if that's starting to happen, we should be doing what?
So I definitely would start vaginal estrogen.
Okay.
If you have recurrent UTIs, you want to treat the UTI.
Right.
If you do have an infection, you need to get an antibiotic. But to help prevent them from happening, vaginal estrogen is incredibly low risk. It does not carry any risk of heart attack, stroke, breast cancer, blood clot, nothing. Now, if you look at the package insert of your vaginal estrogen, it will scare you. It says, you know, do not use if you have breast cancer, blood clot, heart attack, stroke. The reason that is that the FDA mandates class labeling, meaning that any estrogen product has to be labeled the same, even though we know that vaginal estrogen has none of those risks. And there are people lobbying in Washington to get that whole package insert changed.
It is. It's a scare tactic.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it's there and it makes, or you hear something on a commercial and it's got 20 seconds of the great thing it does and 40 seconds of how it's going to kill you. And you sit there and go, I mean, really, ladies, everyone is so frustrated in this world because of that exact reason. It's like, I want to do something for myself, but I'm so scared. And I see a lot of people saying, yes, 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 that is so me. So I never in my life ever had a UTI. About 3 months ago, I was training clients. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Hold on a second. And then I was like, wow, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. And one of my clients right away said, Monica, don't let that go. I think you're getting a bladder infection. I said, I've never had a bladder infection. And sure enough, right before I went to Cabo, I felt like it again, and I had an antibiotic, and I thought the gut health one is what I was always thinking of. But because it's been such an unknown of something I've never had, but with my background, could I take this estrogen?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, low-dose vaginal estrogen does not increase the risk for blood clot in the least bit.
But that labeling might say it?
That labeling will tell you otherwise, but the
Great.
labeling is incorrect.
Okay, let's see. So someone said, I'm afraid I have to take hormone therapy for the rest of my life. Is this true?
Yeah. So you don't have to take hormone therapy ever if you don't want. You can take it for a long time. There's no set time that anybody has to stop taking it. So the way that I usually handle it is when I see patients back yearly, we'll readdress. Do the benefits still outweigh the risk? Has your health history changed? Do you have different things going on where maybe hormones aren't such a good idea? But there's no hard and fast rule that you have to stay on it. But remember, if you stop it, you lose the benefits.
Well, and I was just going to ask, that's, I guess, the question probably people want to know. If they're on it, it's helping them through the menopausal symptoms, the postmenopausal symptoms. Then do you keep getting rechecked where you say, you're actually doing really good, and as long as these symptoms don't come back, then you wouldn't have to take it?
No, because there are things that hormones do for you that you don't feel or don't notice. You'll notice when your hot flashes and night sweats are gone. You'll notice that right away. But your estrogen is helping prevent bone loss, and you're not going to feel any different. Your estrogen is helping prevent the formation of atherosclerotic plaques in the blood vessels. You're not going to notice that.
Right.
And your estrogen is helping with moisture, like we mentioned, your skin, your eyes get dry, your mouth gets dry, the vagina gets dry. And when you stop estrogen, you will start to lose bone mass, which leads you towards osteopenia and osteoporosis. You're at higher risk for forming plaques in the blood vessels. Your skin will get dry, your eyes dry, the vagina dry. And maybe you know more than I do, but I believe you lose collagen and elastin in your skin when you lose your estrogen, like in your face and everything.
It's also cardioprotective, and most women die of heart disease, not breast cancer.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a huge one right there.
That's where I wanted to go with that,
Yeah.
because that is the number one thing we have got to stress. The number one killer of women is not breast cancer, it is heart disease.
Right.
And so if we can lower that risk through this, there's your benefit outweighing the risk, right?
And the hormones we use today do not increase your risk for breast cancer.
Okay.
And I agree with you 100%. Heart disease is the number one killer of women, but most women are really worried about breast cancer because it's so common. They have friends and sisters and mothers who've had it. But the hormone preparations that we use today, estradiol and progesterone, have not been shown to increase the risk of breast cancer.
Right.
Fabulous. Again, Debbie says mid-60s, retired RN, and I feel like the medical field has no true interest in my health. Wow. I have transitioned to all female providers.
Oh, they gave me chills.
Good. That's what I always want to chill on this show. Again, I know a lot of you jump on right near the end of the show and you don't get a chance to ask your questions, but that is why I stress, please continue to drop them in, because I will tag both of these ladies, just like we did at the beginning of this. Kathy says, I haven't used hormones since my hysterectomy, and I've been getting moist regardless of no estrogen, especially when the doctor said it isn't possible. So how is this then?
Vaginal moisture, I'm assuming,
guess,
is what.
yes.
Yeah. So you still have some cells that make lubrication, just not as many.
Okay.
So you still have some. It's just going to be a lot less.
Diminishing, probably.
It diminishes, yeah.
Gotcha.
And dryness tends to get worse over time. So when we think of the symptoms of menopause, hot flashes, night sweats, you typically get them for a couple years before your periods go away. A couple years after, then they go away. But the vaginal dryness, the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, just gets worse with time. But we still do have a thin layer of cells that make lubrications, just not as many as we did when there was estrogen around.
So it's probably coming, Kathy. Mary, by the way, you're new to the show. This is a new name. How do we lose belly fat and get a good night's sleep?
Okay. So, so a couple things. Weight gain around perimenopause and menopause is super, super common. And this happens, there are many mechanisms at work. So one is that as women age, we lose muscle. And muscle burns more calories than fat at rest. And so a more muscular person will have a faster metabolism. So every year, women will lose a little bit of muscle, which means that they're going to gain a little bit of weight, a little bit of weight, a little bit of weight. So there's this natural trend, unless you strength train. So I'm a huge fan of strength training for perimenopausal and menopausal women to help boost your metabolism. Estrogen in and of itself is not a weight loss medicine, but it plays a role in this weight gain, and it does so in two ways. So one, estrogen improves insulin sensitivity, and insulin is the hormone that moves glucose or sugar from in your bloodstream to inside the cells. And perimenopausal women and post, as their estrogen declines, have a higher risk of becoming insulin resistant, which means their body has to pump out more insulin, and insulin is an anabolic hormone that makes you deposit fat. So as estrogen levels decline, you're making more insulin, and that makes you deposit fat. The second thing is that estrogen affects your body composition. So as women lose their estrogen, they tend to become more apple-shaped instead of pear-shaped. So the fat tends to go to the middle, and we don't want that because that's a higher risk of cardiovascular disease. So there's many forces at play that are going on in women's 40s and 50s that can lead to weight gain, and it's so frustrating because what I hear in my office every day is, you know, I used to put on a couple pounds, I just changed my diet a little bit and it came right off. And as we reach those 40s and 50s, it just doesn't work anymore.
Right, it slows down. And I was looking at Dr. Lynn's site and I was like, oh my gosh, we have got to talk after the show. There's so many things that we should be doing together. She is all about the whole body, taking care of women's health. Again, it's evorawomen.com. But sitting down, talking to you, doing the initial consult to say, look, there are so many things that we can do for you. When they get an opportunity to get everything under control and you start to drop the weight that you want to, this is what I love. They tailor it. So, you know, I'm besides being a trainer for 26 years, I am a design and wardrobe consultant. So I love the fact that you also have this whole aspect of, I was like, so in my head, it was always, I know the weight's coming off. I know you're getting healthier. I know you're getting more excited. Now you want a whole new wardrobe of clothes. They do that. You and I have to talk.
Yes.
There's so many things that she's doing right now.
We have a personal stylist.
Yes. That's
because part of your health is feeling good about yourself.
Right.
And you lose weight and you want to feel good about yourself. You want to dress well. I mean, that contributes to your physiologic health.
Right. Because there are so many clients of mine that just feel like, well, I'm just going to put clothes over and I'm just going to cover myself up. And then all of a sudden they drop the weight and go, I can shop in stores of cute clothes all over again. I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's go do this. Let's see. Can post-menopause be related to chronic anxiety?
Oh, I believe so. I mean, I had not experienced that ever in my life. And I just remember this kind of buildup in my chest, you know, coming to work and, you know, dealing with the kids. And then I read more about it, obviously, after I met with Dr. Lynn. And I do believe the hormone replacement has helped me tremendously in that regard.
Yeah,
absolutely. So for you, Dr. Jensen, Mary said, what can I use for my very dry skin?
Well, I actually beyond the hormone replacement, which has helped me, I do prefer moisturizers that are ointment-based, so like coconut oil, even olive oil, especially if they're cold pressed because they take away all the additives that you don't need. Aquaphor, even Vaseline. Those are simple and cheap, you know, options. Avoiding long baths, like heat, can contribute to your dryness. So,
I need to stop that. Here, let's go back to that slide for a second. Common skin problems during menopause. So dryness we talked about, wrinkles, acne, dark spots, decreased skin elasticity. How many people have told you, Dr. Jensen, oh, I'm so frustrated. I've got this extra jowls. I've got this skin that's pulling away, losing the collagen, right?
Yeah, and even bruising. My kids, you know, make fun because I'm an easy bruiser.
Hello?
Yes.
I just told Michelle, I'm like, what happened? I didn't do anything. I mean, I know I've had some drinks, but what did I run into?
But when I started replacing my hormone, and with patients that I know have sent over to Dr. Lynn, they mentioned that too, you know, with kind of an aha moment, like, oh yeah, I'm not bruising anymore from just the minimal, trauma that you get to
Our
the
skin's
skin.
getting thinner.
Yeah, skin and elasticity definitely diminishes with the loss of estrogen.
Absolutely. So, and I just saw Michelle make this comment, and I already felt it, being the host. She said, this could be a 3-hour show. We need you to come back. I know. I said I want to talk with her because there's some things I really would love to do together. So let me put it up on the screen one more time as you ask any other questions, because we haven't done it in about a half hour, where you can find both of these incredible women. This is Evora Women's Health, empowering women to lead lead healthy lives. There's their address, which, by the way, you are where I used to do radio. We used to call it the Palace on Ballas. So we were at City Place. WIL is still there, I know, but that's where they are. City Place 5, by the way. There's some phone numbers and information and email if you have questions after today's show. And then, of course, Dr. Sarah Jensen with her 2 locations with Regional Dermatology, one in Festus and then one in Chesterfield. There are the hours for both. We'll leave that up there for you for just a second, as well as the phone numbers. Make the call. Do not wait any longer, because every single second that goes through life where you're miserable is just a waste of your time, a waste of your energy. Sherry said, arthritis is keeping me from working out like I used to. Yes, how frustrating for so many women that are trying to do something about it. I am obviously a big advocate, a big proponent of you training, and as you get older, even more resistance training. I'm so glad that we finally had the turn, because when I was in my teens and my early 20s, I fell in love with the sport of bodybuilding, but when it was beautiful, not when it got just crazy. There were 2 women, Rachel McClish and Corey Everson, that were just stunning women that truly made muscles look beautiful. And then women are like, oh, well, I can look like that. Those women look great. They were always scared that they were going to look like men. And I'm like, you are not going to, unless you have all this testosterone and, you have all these steroids injected into you. You're not going to look like that. But it's good for us. Resistance training, weight-bearing exercise has to happen for the things that Dr. Lynn had talked about: osteopenia, osteoporosis, all aspects of your health. It's not just getting on a treadmill or an elliptical trainer and just doing cardio ad nauseum. You've got to lift weights.
And mental clarity too, right?
Yes.
That helps with anxiety, depression, and just running through your thoughts. Through the day.
Absolutely. And strength training. There's now data to show that strength training lowers your risk of dementia.
Yes. Yes. There's so many studies. And again, you just gave me a chill. There's tons and tons of shows that we can do about all of these things to help you. So, severe chronic anxiety. Again, a lot of people saying that there's so many things that they are dealing with that they didn't realize are a part of this. So educational, ladies. I have all these symptoms. I'm 63 years old. Thank you for the show, Monica. You're welcome. Thank these ladies right here. So I'm sure there's more and more and more that are coming in. We got a lot of people live right now. So I hate to have to wrap up, but I think they both have to get to patients. Otherwise, I would stay on with you. Let's take a quick break. We're going to wrap up. Do you feel the same thing? It actually, I'll tell you what, since she's a new guest on our show, these are 100 Days to Freedom books. That's everything that we're trying to do to break you of the things that you're feeling from anger. That's one book. Depression is one. Fear and anxiety. Overeating. And then, is this one shame? We haven't done that one. Yeah. And shame. Which one would you feel that we should be wrapping up with today? Anger.
Well, say those again.
Anger's one. Depression's one. Shame is one. Overeating is one. And then fear and anxiety is together.
I would pick shame or overeating.
What do you feel? Shame or overeating?
Let's do overeating, because you do obesity medicine as well.
I do. I'm also obesity medicine board certified, so I help many women lose weight.
Yeah.
And I saw you had a post on your Facebook page that I started following saying, for those that are looking, and we've done shows in the past about this, so you hear about Wegovy, you hear about semaglutide, all these things that people think they can just get online. We're not going to address it right now because we would go for another hour, but let's just stress this, don't do that. You cannot do that. So you've got to go to someone like Dr. Lynn with Evora. Make sure that you go to someone who is trusted and really, truly has your best interest at heart, that you're not trying to save money and then you're possibly putting yourself in danger, or you're wondering, like, why am I not losing weight? Because there's nothing in there. EvoraWomen.com, again, is the website for Dr. Lynn. Let's take a quick break. Okay, we're going to do 100 Days to Freedom from Overeating, and then we'll wrap up with these 2 ladies. What a great show. Stay tuned.
The world needs to be more positive. Yep. The world, and I'm spreading positivity with my air fresheners. So,
you and I both,
sir. Sadly, I wasn't aware of the Monica Adams show until recently. And was I missing out?
I'm definitely going to turn this on in the mornings on our TV.
She's helping people to understand their value. She's helping women to transform their lives.
From the minute that we walked in, I felt just really comfortable and at home here.
You are always a ray of sunshine and positivity.
Thank you for what you do. I love this whole thing that you're doing.
It's good news. It's great news. It's uplifting and empowering.
But you were engaged, and I love that. So thank you so much.
Welcome back. We are in the wrap up of our Medical Monday Ask the Doctor show. And the ladies picked this one. This is 100 Days to Freedom. The books are from Stephen Arterburn, daily devotionals that we wrap up with. This one has to do with overeating. And both Dr. Lynn and Dr. Jensen and myself laughed because another symptom of menopause is this. My eyes have gotten worse. I forgot my glasses, but this is called a living temple. We just talked about taking care of our bodies, right? Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? This is 1 Corinthians 3, verse 16. Today, because of Jesus and his sacrifice, we do not have to go to a temple far away to worship God or offer animal sacrifices for our sins. When we believe in Jesus and repent of our sins, he forgives us and fills us with his Spirit. We each become a holy living temple. What a blessing that is. In the first chapter of the book of Daniel in the Old Testament is a story about what it looks like to take care of our bodies and treat them as temples of the living God. When Daniel and his friends were in captivity, they chose not to eat the foods that the Babylonians wanted them to eat. By choosing to eat only, what do I always tell you? Fruits, vegetables, lean meats, fishes, things like that. They did what was right according to God, and they were not drawn into eating what they considered contaminated food. Not only did their focus remain on God, but by eating as they did, they also remained strong and healthy, and God gave them knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning. They stood strong for the Lord in Babylon. What an incredible reminder that we are the temples of the living God and that we are responsible for being good stewards of what we have been given. Small choices like what we eat can affect every aspect of our lives. So we must make good choices and not just go along with whatever society offers us. Every single fast food restaurant on every turn that you see. Michelle says we can either spend our days living to please others or we can live knowing the one who created us is already so pleased. Don't try to change just to make others happy. That's a good message. Step out with God's love flowing out of you and you will live with joy, peace, and light. Matt Redman said praise is a contradiction of pride. Pride says, looks at me, but praise longs for people to see Jesus. And Jimmy Page, if you regularly eat heavily processed foods, listen to this, you're ingesting dead things that probably have very little positive nutritional value. Here's today's prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for your son Jesus and for forgiving my sins. Help me to remember that I am a temple and guide me to choose wisely what I put in my body throughout the day. I pray that I can be a light to those around me. Amen to that. If you are new to the show, we always wrap up with some type of a devotional, some kind of guiding message. Again, whatever your faith may be, I think we all are collectively in agreement that there's something or someone that is guiding us. And for that one, yes, we all in this room are very, very health-minded, and it is what you're putting in your body will affect you on so many levels. Ladies, I can't thank you enough, and I truly hope that we can continue to do this because this is how we change lives together. Dr. Becky Lynn, what a pleasure. I'm so glad Dr. Sarah Jensen introduced us. And again, for all of you, do us a favor and share today's show. Make sure that you find a point. Don't just share randomly. I always say put something on top so that whatever family, friends are following you, that they see something that really stood out to you. Maybe you even tell them at this very point, so-and-so, you need to watch this. Share, share, share galore on Facebook, on YouTube. We're going to be making some reels and stories on Instagram, on X, Rumble, all of the platforms that we're on. And I can guarantee you very soon that this show will make it onto our audio podcast that we drop on Thursdays at 8 a.m. We'll probably do that here in the next couple of weeks so you can hear this message all over again. Before we wrap up, a lot of you always ask, where can you join our live shows? Well, how about next Thursday? We're going to be right there. Isn't that the coolest looking place? Adventure Unknown. This is a place in Fenton, Missouri. So it is on Fen Park Drive, which is in that industrial district. You walk in and have no idea that this is what's waiting for you. It is the coolest place. Scott and Johanna Schusler are going to be joining me. We're actually going to do a show with them next Tuesday morning so that all of you in the morning can hear just a couple of days before we do the show. Yeah, this is a space for you. You know, there's a lot of businesses that allow people to work from home and they might pay for some space at home, but why when you can have conference rooms. You can have meetings that look like that. It's a place for social. It's a place for business. They travel together. It's just super cool. And I can't wait to sit down and tell the story of the masterminds behind that. Again, Scott and Johanna joining us next Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. And then we'll be there live 4:30 to 6 p.m. for a really fun show and then a little social time afterwards. Adventure Unknown next Thursday, the 8th in Fenton. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That's how we wrap up the show. I know we could have continued on and on and on, but hey, we're just going to tease you to do a little bit more on this. Dr. Sarah Jensen will be back with us, of course, next Monday as we continue our Medical Monday Ask the Doctor segment. If there's anything that you would like for her to cover when it comes to dermatology, get those questions to us in advance, and we will make sure that we take care of that. Remember, I tell you, you can go out and be anything you want to be. You want to be a physician like these two ladies? Do it. Dream big, but the greatest thing you can do in life is to be kind. That is the number one thing. Spread the love of kindness. God bless you all.